You are brushing your teeth, half awake, when one chorus arrives again. Not the whole song, just that shiny little hook circling. You did not invite it. You might not even like it, but there it is, playing privately, embarrassingly, with no off switch. Psychologists call this involuntary musical imagery. Most of us call it an earworm, which makes it sound smaller than it is. In a 2025 Consciousness and Cognition study, Dodds surveyed 883 people about earworms, habits, and compulsive everyday repetitions. A 2020 study noted that intrusive musical imagery occurs in more than 85% of the general population. So the interesting question is not why a few unusual minds get stuck songs. It is why ordinary minds repeat anything at all. Researchers describe earworms as short, limited fragments, often repeating contiguously, almost like the mind has caught the edge of a loop. Earlier work found that song popularity and certain melodic features help predict which tunes are more likely to become involuntary musical imagery. Dodds at whether earworms might be mental habits, linked to the same loops behind tapping, counting, checking, rehearsing, and repeating. That framing changes the feeling of the thing. The chorus is not merely stuck, it may be behaving like a tiny routine. Think about your day. You drum your fingers, you reread a message, you count stairs without deciding to count them. None of these acts feels dramatic. They sit in the background of consciousness, small repetitions the mind delegates to itself. Habits are useful because they save effort. The problem is that the brain's shortcuts do not always ask permission. The 2025 study found that habitual tendencies predicted earworm frequency, disturbance, and perceived control, even after accounting for anxiety. Earworms were associated with 22 habitual behaviors and compulsions, especially repetitive motor behaviors and repetitive mental behaviors. The strongest links were with mental and motor habits, supporting Dodds' proposal that earworms may be a kind of mental habit. Notice what the study does not say. It does not say earworms are pathological. It does not say tapping causes music loops. Dodds' study was correlational, meaning it found associations. It cannot prove that habit systems directly cause earworms. But the pattern is suggestive. People who report more everyday loops also report more musical loops. Inside awareness. The earworm becomes a clue, not a glitch in the system exactly, but a system doing something it often does. Your mind rehearses conversations before they happen. It replays awkward moments after they end. It practices threat, apology, timing, and reply. In Dodds' survey, earworm experience remained tied to habit measures even when anxiety was statistically controlled. That matters because anxiety can also make thoughts sticky. The study suggests habit has its own relationship with musical repetition. The song may start from exposure, a radio snippet, a store playlist, a memory cue, but repetition gives it staying power. One approach is to stop treating the earworm like an enemy. Consider noticing its rhythm, its trigger, and when your attention keeps feeding it. Attention is strange here. Fighting the song can make it more vivid, because resistance is still a form of mental contact. The 2023 work on repeating musical imagery emphasizes that these fragments are usually brief and limited, not full internal concerts. That limitation is important. The mind does not replay the album. It grabs the most repeatable piece and keeps turning it over.
It has edges, it resolves, then invites itself back, like a door that almost closes.
The Earworms songs often combine familiarity with melodic shapes that make them especially easy to remember and repeat. So there are at least two stories. Some songs are sticky, some minds are more inclined to stick. The most interesting psychology lives where those stories meet. A hook designed to repeat inside a mind already fluent in repetition. The 2025 study specifically linked earworms with repetitive motor acts like foot tapping, and mental acts like counting and spelling. That pairing matters. Earworms are not only about sound, they may belong with a broader family of patterned actions. A habit is not always visible. Sometimes it is a private motion, a phrase checked, a route imagined, a melody restarted. Moraes and colleagues describe a spectrum from common intrusive musical imagery to more distressing musical obsessions and hallucinations. Most earworms sit at the ordinary end of that spectrum, annoying yes, usually harmless, often even oddly comforting. There is a reason children ask for the same song again. Repetition can be regulating. predictability can feel like shelter. Adults are not so different. We return to familiar tracks after hard days because the next note arrives where expected. An earworm may be that comfort mechanism with the steering wheel removed. The pattern continues after the situation has passed.
Earworm strategies may help.
Consider finishing the song, shifting to a different auditory task, or giving working memory something verbal to hold. Chewing gum has also been studied as one possible disruption, likely because it occupies parts of the speech and sound rehearsal system. Clinical reviews caution that persistent, distressing, or externally perceived music belongs to a different category than ordinary earworms. If musical loops become frightening, time-consuming, or feel outside your own mind, consider consulting a qualified mental health professional. For most of us, though, the earworm is less emergency than microscope. It magnifies how automatic thought can become. You may notice this most during low-demand moments. Showering, walking, waiting, folding laundry. The mind has enough space to loop. The loop often appears when attention is underoccupied, not absent. Your mind is idling, but the engine is still turning. Dodds found earworm disturbance and control were also associated with habitual tendencies, not just how often songs appeared. That distinction is subtle. Two people can have the same chorus. One shrugs. The other feels captured by it. So the psychology is not only the song's structure, it is also your relationship to the loop once it begins. One gentle move is to name it plainly. This is a loop, not a failure of attention, not a sign of anything broken. Naming can create distance. The tune is still there, but it becomes an event in awareness instead of the whole room. Melodic research suggests that earworm-prone songs are memorable partly because they balance predictability with small departures from expectation. That is close to how habits work too. Enough sameness to run automatically. Enough reward to make the pattern return. Maybe this is why a terrible jingle can be harder to escape than a beautiful symphony. It is engineered for grip. But grip is not the same as meaning. A song can occupy the mind without deserving its emotional importance. If the tune bothers you, consider changing context. Move your body, speak with someone, read aloud, or choose another piece of music deliberately. Dodds' findings fit a broader idea. Involuntary musical imagery may reveal general mechanisms of mental automation. Automation is not the enemy. Without it, you would have to consciously decide how to walk, swallow, type, and greet people. The cost is that some routines keep running after usefulness fades. The mind is efficient, but not always tidy. This is the quiet humility of the earworm. It reminds you that consciousness is not a clean command center. It is more like a house with many rooms, some of them playing music you did not start. The 2025 paper's highlight states it directly. Earworms were associated with a wide range of habitual behaviors and compulsions. That does not make the mind mechanical. It makes it adaptive, patterned, and occasionally overenthusiastic about repeating itself. A useful question is not, why can't I stop this? It is, what condition made repetition easy right now? Notice fatigue. Notice stress. Notice boredom. Notice recent exposure. These may not explain every loop, but they often create room for one. Try treating the next earworm like weather passing through attention. Real, noticeable, sometimes irritating, but not. If this kind of careful psychology is your thing, consider liking the episode or subscribing. It helps thoughtful work find thoughtful listeners. The next time the chorus returns, you might hear more than annoyance. You might hear a habit in miniature, a small loop of sound, showing the larger truth that the mind learns to repeat before it learns to ask why. Maybe the song that will not leave is not invading you. Maybe it is your mind practicing your repetition a little too well. And once you see it that way, the private embarrassment becomes something gentler, evidence of a brain built for patterns. Not always elegant patterns, not always chosen ones, but patterns that reveal how much of thought begins as a quiet return.